Hi everybody, I'm Tandy Gutierrez, and this is your 3-day 3-card reading for your body, mind, and soul. Remember, this is a general reading, so not everything's going to speak to everyone. Take whatever images, themes, thoughts, cards, colors, key phrases that resonate for you and kind of make something click. Awesome, take those. And if nothing feels like a fit, don't worry about it, move on, right? So it's a general reading for my followers and my members for body, mind, and spirit. I take these readings, kind of look at the overall energetic pieces of it, and then those components talk to and translate into the workouts on the mat with me, so that I'm taking care of your fitness, that physical and some of the energetic pieces on the mat, so it all goes together. So you've got that triangle of wellness for body, mind, and spirit. I always do a meditation prior to it and say a little prayer and ask that the guides and guardians bring in any messages that are positive and helpful and help our evolution and creating the better versions of ourselves that we're all working on, right? So I'll show you the cards as we go. There are, classical distinct meanings for each of the cards. Sometimes I use those, sometimes it's totally intuition based and I go on what the feeling and the sense and what I'm getting from it. So again, take what works, leave the rest. I hope it, motivates, inspires, and uplifts your day to listen and brings you and your spirit into a place of real thinking and contemplation and love and evolution. So here we go. A little more shuffling, because apparently we need a little more shuffling today, okay? So this reading is for November 27th, 28th, and 29th. Happy birthday to my husband on the 27th. Thanksgiving is done in the States. Holidays are, man, they're swirling, right? Okay, here we go. So for your body, and again, I'll show them as we go. Mind and spirit. Okay. All right. So the first one, for those, sometimes people get really freaked out and go, ooh, death, death of your body. That sounds terrible. Death card doesn't really mean death. It means transition, it means change. It means that something ends, right? And it turns into something else. So death isn't really death. We're infinite, right? We have a soul. Where does that soul go? What happens to it? It's merely the death of the physical body. So it's interesting that this is the card that comes up for your body right now. As your trainer, as a teacher, I go, yeah, let the old stuff die off. Like the things that you conceptually think to be true for your physical body or that have physically been true. So if there's some stuff that's not well, if there's some things that have been quirky and dysfunctional or disease-based, like it is time for them to go. It's time, they're dying off. So healing is what's coming in. So it's like you get the death card, it's very black and white. And I go, no, that's a healing card. That means that the old ways of thinking, old ways of doing, like, done, go. And what a beautiful time of year to do that, like around Thanksgiving, around the holidays, around the ending of this year, that you start to get really real about your body and, physically what's happening with it. So that's what this first card is for. What is physically happening with your body? And the death card, here we go. And to me, it's not death, it's transition and it's change. And that is rebirth, right? The end of anything is the beginning of something else. So maybe you're just getting really super fed up with the way things have been and the consistency or the outcomes of it. And it's time for you to get really honest about what's not working and what you need to ditch so that you can be reborn and rebirthed as something very different. Now, I'm going to skip ahead, which I don't usually do, but I love it because you have, the death card as your body card. Mind will come back to, and then your spirit card is the crane, but it's always like a phoenix card for me because of the color, because of the fire, because of the tears. It's that smoke and rebirth business of it. So you've got this to start with today and this to end with today, and we'll get there. But that's pretty awesome, I think. So the body right now is like, I think you're just going through like all of this, like, what has this lifetime and in this body brought me? What does it feel like? What's working? What's not working? And it's time to let the stuff that's weighing you down stuff that's, kind of killing your soul a little bit, let it go. Because when you let that stuff go is when you start to heal, when you start to get better, when you start to get stronger, when your body starts to evolve. So it's in training, yes, you can work out, and please work out with me, right? But you can work out all day long. If your head's not in the right place, you're not ready to let things go, you're not willing to change, you're not willing to be different, you're not ready to show up differently in the world, it's not time. But this card says it's time. Because there's a death of the current body. Meaning the one you're living with, the stuff that you've been doing, it's time to change a little bit, okay? Which to me is always change in the brain. So your mind card, let's do it that way. Mother of Swords. So swords, it's and again interesting because they're both these black and white, like kind of straightforward kind of cards. Like there's no light and color in them. So this one's a lot of realization, contemplation. Got to sift through the muck. Got to get real with it. Like you got to look inside because look, there's nothing on the outside. You just see the inside pieces. You got to look inside. All about the inside. Okay, so you know me, wear Wednesday, what you wear on the inside is what shows up on the outside. So this card is so driving that home because you're only seeing the insides of it. Okay, and then you get to the mind card, and again, it's just kind of calm, pretty black and white. Mother of Swords. Swords is thoughts, air, intellectual. But there's a lot of knowledge here. So that the mother archetype, mother figure, nurturing, but more of the mom that's like straightforward, like I'm going to hug you, but I'm going to tell you all the junk you're doing wrong first. It's kind of my mothering technique. Being honest, balanced and being honest. Like love does not mean that it's a full-time party, right? So I'm getting a lot of I think you're in a place of really loving yourself or getting there or letting your brain understand that how you nurture your mind and your thoughts, directly correlates to everything else. So into the body stuff. And then that may be where you're getting a lot of this contemplation of what's really happening on the inside of the body. What do I need to kill and let go of and let die a death so something new can happen? Mother of Swords is, she's calm, she's regal, she's sitting on her thoughts, and she's the owner of her wisdom. Is she flying around? No, she's not making herself overly crazy or overly busy. She's just gonna own what she knows, be really calm and really balanced about it, give it a lot of thought, and then execute when the time is right. So I love how these cards are coming to, it's just beautiful because it's there's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of understanding. So, swords being that intellectual understanding and cognitive thought process because we are body, mind, and spirit. We're these three pieces of the triangle. You got to use your brain, you got to use what you know, and what you know changes and evolves, right? And as you know more and as you practice that, practice creates mastery. So there's some mastery here in the mind, but you're thinking about all of the things that haven't worked for your body. And so whatever's happening on the inside is what's being reflected on the outside. So the insides are getting a lot of thought and a lot of death. If you're willing, it's not going to die on its own. You got to let it go. You got to let it die its death. And then you get to rebirth, right? Then you get to the spirit side of it. And I always think it's funny that this is a crane because it's so distinctly a phoenix to me. With the rainbow and with the fire and the sadness. But if you notice those tears, the sadness of the tears, that you're letting that sadness go. And I think I'm a crier. Oh man, I'm a crier. Moon in Pisces, crier, very watery. So I'm all for that catharsis and that release and that sadness and feeling all the feels. Because you got to get it out. Keeping all the feels in, sadness, anger, frustration, guilt, that creates diseases and dysfunction, right? So when you can acknowledge it, so when you can think about it, understand it in your brain, I'm never going to get the angles right on these cards, then you can, implement and think about it in your physical body and release, and once you release in spirit, so you let it out, whatever way you need to let it out. Some people, it's anger, and it's all the same emotional stuff. It's just how does it come out? So the crane is totally crying to release it into the flames, but water and fire make what? Steam. Steam is highly useful and highly productive. So if you can let go of the emotional burdens of the intellect and what's not working and what you've carried with you for lifetimes when it comes to your body, I'm getting very clear body stuff. This is not other things. This is body. When you can let go of those things, that's when you get health and wellness and thrival and body change and transition and strength and empowerment. It has to do with what's going on in your brain. What you program in your head is what comes out in the world. Okay? So this temperance and being balanced and really that release is so incredible. Like, how wonderful that these all flow together. So again, a little bit out of order for body, mind, and spirit, but your brain, your intellect, and your smarts are good. Okay? So own the mastery of that. Know what you know. Own what you know. Okay? In your mind, in your intellect. And then take that and get into your body physically. What is not working from the inside out? What have you carried for way too long? That's a disease, that's a dysfunction, that's a funky part. I'm not saying your body's always going to be perfect. It's not. We're human. We evolve every day. New things come up. New things crop up. But those dysfunctionalities in the body really have more to do with trapped energies than so many things. So like, you can tell me what is going on in your body and I can go, this is probably happening in their brain or in their heart. And you don't even know it yet. Okay? But you're starting to make these connections between your head and your intellect and your body. Powerful stuff. Okay? So you can make those connections, but whatever the source of the ick is, like whatever the, you guys want me to be more clear. I understand that. Whatever the source of it is. Okay, so I always bring my personal into it because it's easy. I'm very transparent. Sense of self-worth stuff for me. I'm adopted. It has followed me my whole life. And I'm, bit by bit letting go of it. But I feel like my pinky's still like hanging on to a snippet of it. And I'm like trying to unravel the pinky, that I know that I'm worthy at every inch and molecule of my body. My brain knows it. I understand, how it affects things. But that release, that honest personal release, it takes courage. It takes time, and it takes a time to process. Like, it's that you got to give yourself some alone time or some time to journal, to meditate, to think, to process. It will not happen on its own. You've got to be aware of it. You've got to think about it. You've got to own it, and then you've got to get rid of it somehow. And you go, well, great, Tandy, how do I get rid of it? We're all different. Okay, so writing and journaling works really well for some people. Meditation works really well for some people. Some people just scream it out and it's gone. Some people call their friends and go, and it's gone, right? Some of you guys write me emails and then it's gone. I like to write things on paper and then I burn them, into the ashes. And sometimes it takes a couple of those times, but these cards are beautiful and they're really like pieces are coming together for you. And so when you can get into this piece where it's time to let go, that's when real beauty and super magic happens, right? So let the magic happen, but you got to do the work to do it, okay? Any food recommendations, I would say, through here little bits that are going to help this week. More water, honestly, like lots of water. I'm big on hydration anyway, just as your physical fitness and your health. But as you're trying to push things out, you need to flush, and that's energetically as well. And, again, water and fire, it makes steam, so the more flushing, the better. And these look a little dry, right? Like they're a little black and white, a little dry. They need some life. So more water for you guys this week. Half your body weight in ounces a day is the goal, as close as you can to it. Sometimes I do more if I still feel that way, so if you need more, have more, okay? So thank you for being here for this reading. It's your 3-day body, mind, and soul reading for November 27th, 28th, and 29th. And if you're interested in the workouts that coincide with these to help with the physical aspect of your body, you head over to the website. You become a member if you're not already over there. And I will see you on the mat. And if not on the mat, I'll see you back here for a card reading in the next 3 days.